Oh god, oh god. I don't see any way to possibly get through that except for with maxed out legendary everything. Our first fusion plant. Here we go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Yes! Our first fusion generator. Oh yeah! It's online, it's online. We did it. The Technomancer is now ready to depart. Today is our quest for legendary mech armor. Now, I've done a little bit of mining off camera, quite literally, and we've accumulated some legendary ores. And this is all thanks to the ship that we made last time. This guy has been running around non-stop. And I also went ahead and built a couple more. I copied the blueprint and I just built a couple more. And they've also been busy. As you can see, there's plenty of ice as well. But then I've been having that ore ship down to Narvis. And it's been accumulating in these chests. And it's kind of... And we've got a lot of ores. I am very pleased to say we have a lot of legendary ores, which means we can make a lot of legendary items. And that's exciting. It's kind of like a bar graph, if you will, showing the chances of each ore as well as the output yield that you get from the Technomancers. Oh, we've also had a bit of a build-up of legendary circuits, which is really cool. Taking a look at legendary mech armor, we need 100 processing units, 200 holmium plates, 50 superconductors, 50 supercapacitors, and 1 power armor Mark II. Power armor Mark II needs speed modules and the efficiency modules. Thankfully, we can make those. However, before we go ahead and do that, I want to make sure that we can make everything we need before I start trying to craft it. So, the biggest problem is going to be the holmium. And all of the holmium stuff, the superconductors, the supercapacitors, because holmium isn't an ore you can get from up in space. You have to get holmium ore from Fulgora. And if we take a look at Fulgora, our Fulgora network has kind of died, but we have had a huge buildup of holmium ore. So we could try and do something with that, but holmium solution is a fluid. And as we know, or as we can see, you can't get quality fluids. So instead, how do we solve the holmium plate issue? As far as I can tell, the only way we can really solve the holmium plates is through the same setup that I have going on over here, where we have quality modules going in, with quality being used to recycle them upwards. And then you get your higher quality components to make a higher quality item, and then you cycle that into yet another higher quality item over and over again until you get all the way up to legendary. That's the only way I can think of doing this, and it's going to take quite some time. So we have superconductors and we have supercapacitors. Supercapacitors, if we did the process to those, would also yield us higher grade superconductors. So we can probably skip the superconductors entirely and just make supercapacitors. But that means we're going to need a lot, and I mean a lot, of holmium plates. So, today's job might be to go back to Fulgora and rebuild the whole thing. And in fact, I'm thinking, I was having a look at pictures on the internet, and I realized that this little island here, or continent, or whatever you want to call it, is actually tiny. And there's a lot bigger ones out there, because I'm thinking, how do people build big factories on Fulgora without spending crazy amount of resources on foundations? And I think the answer is that they don't. They simply find another big continent somewhere that they can then build on. Maybe even ship trains around and build different parts of the factories on different islands. So, I think that's probably what we're going to try and do. We're going to land on Fulgora and look for other continents in the areas we haven't explored. In the areas we haven't explored. We can see that legendary mech armor gives us 125 inventory bonus instead of just the regular 50 that I'm currently wearing. But we also get 15 by 17 inventory grid size instead of 10 by 12. And that's going to be huge, because then we can fit a lot more cool stuff into our suit, and then we can go and finally kill all the aliens on Narvis, which are giving me a hard time, especially when they're in such big groups like this and they keep gnawing at my wall. What I also should do is build another one of these and set it up to go for Aquilo, because Aquilo does have a bunch of items I would like to ship back and forth. That platform is very sus looking. I don't know what you're talking about. This is just nature's finest design. It happens naturally. I mean, it's got a little more class than just brick. Need to drop construction robots, roboports, substations, electric poles, all our foundations, all our accumulators. Maybe some beacons, some speed modules, some quality modules, productivity modules for sure. Is there anything else I'm missing? I can't think of anything right now. And of course, belts. Oh boy, whoops. We've overfilled. Did not mean to do that, whoops. Let's do some exploring. Pretty much leaving this behind. I think like it was cool, but I can do a lot better now that I know how to play Fulgora properly. Definitely a lot easier to explore now that we have standard power armor. No, mech armor. I keep calling it power armor because I keep thinking of the power armor in Fallout. That's basically what this is. I don't know why it's mech armor. I mean, I guess technically it is mech armor. When I think of mech armor, I think of something a lot bigger. Oh, we forgot our cliff explosives as well. We can get that from Vulcanus too. Do we have that available in the logistics network? Yes, yes we do. Cool, that's plenty. That should sort us out as well. Oh, hang on a minute. Have I just stumbled upon... Oh, okay. I think we just stumbled upon the continent that I was looking for. A sheer coincidence. Alright, that's cool. How much ore do we have sitting around? 1.9 mil, 2.4 mil. Okay, that's rubbish. 2.5 mil, 6.4 mil, 29 mil over there. Okay, that's looking better. Let's go explore that one. 410 million. That should do us very nicely. First things first, we need to start laying down our lightning rods. Try and maximize the surface area. Okay, and then this is going to be the main area that we do our building. I could mine off this scrap first, just to try and get rid of it quickly. Where should we put our accumulator batteries? Maybe I'll just stick them in the corner here for now. I really should have made a blueprint for this. There we go. So that's going to give us power when the lightning starts striking. We can copy this. And plonk it here. Plonk another couple around. And we got our scrap coming through. We should be getting a lot higher yield on scrap than previously expected too, because we have the mining productivity, but we also have actually... Ooh, okay, this is something I want to try. What if we put quality modules into the big mining drills and get quality scrap? There we go, and we can see that we've got some quality coming through. So what we need to do is we need to run this through some recyclers. I grab recyclers like this, and I want to try and put quality into these as well, because that might help us get some further progress on the upcycling. This is the part where things get messy. Yep, very messy. I am full already. If we come up with a bit of a splitter design here, the items we get the most out of this is gears, I believe. Yeah, 20% chance of iron gear wheels, which not the most useful. So what we can do is we can do this sort of a thing that I've done before. We have a priority output, and then we need to filter for gears, and then we need to make sure we're looking for any quality when we're doing this, because we have a mixture of quality levels all across the place. Then we need to start filtering out the qualities. So anything higher quality than normal gears is going to come through here. And then the rest of the regular gears are going to come through here, and we can turn them into iron plates or any other items that we need. We can store the iron gears first with the priority split on the right, and then the rest can come up and get turned into other items later. The better quality gears are going to come through here, and for the time being, I think I'm just going to store them. But that's our setup for how to get items off of this belt. So then we can just copy that and plonk it down here and change this to be, instead of gears, we want, what's the next thing that happens? Solid fuel. Okay, we can grab solid fuel. Now, solid fuel is a bit of an interesting one because we don't actually need solid fuel for much other than rocket fuel. So anything with quality can actually just be scrapped, I believe. But the rest of the solid fuel we can store because they will be useful. The most important item is holmium ore. And with that set up, we should now be filtering everything along this belt Yeah, okay, so that's our setup. The real problem with all this quality stuff is you end up with so many items. So many excess items. Quality holmium ore is, in the literal sense, quite useless. Because holmium ore just turns straight into holmium solution, which does get me thinking maybe it's a bit pointless that we're actually turning all this into higher grade stuff. Yeah, maybe this isn't the brightest idea, but hey, we're trying. We're trying things. Let's get that holmium online. So we have our foundries. Oh, okay, hang on. I can't make holmium solution. In that case, that's where our chemical plants are going to come in handy, except I only have one. Can we put... You can put quality module into making water. That's not very useful. Alright, let's also put down some beacons, because we can put down some speed on here to make them quicker. Now, something we should also do real quick is place down our space port. Something like that. It's a little ugly, but it saves on space and gives us the maximum amount of access ports that we need to be able to use items inside and outside of the cargo landing pad. So we need to get ice into here. That melts nice and quickly. We can build a tank for that. Stone and holmium is going to make holmium solution in these. What I should probably do actually is run some beacons so we can speed this up. And then we can chuck them into a foundry, which is going to make us our holmium plates. And then we can also chuck productivity modules in these. So that total productivity will end up being plus 90%. So that's awesome. Let's do all the electronics on this side. What we can probably do is upcycle starting from this. I'm going to build a passive provider chest, and then we can do some requests for making some better quality stuff later. But that's going to be giving us circuits for now. Okay, so that's then giving us a nice big fat juicy belt of circuits. That's really cool. So then we need to deliver these circuits somewhere to make supercapacitors. We need copper plates and plastic bars. What can we do? Okay, those are going to come from low density structures. We can grab some more of these recyclers. I might just do 2 again. Chuck our quality modules into those. Oh, hang on, we're also getting steel as well. Let's account for the steel. We can probably deliver this straight up into this section of the map. Circuits we can deliver. And then we also need our holmium. So now we need to split all these items out. So we don't need steel. So let's move steel over to here. Red circuits can probably just loop around. And then we can crash these 2 belts together. I think we can just chuck them in here. We're going to be making superconductors. And I think we can either do quality or we can do productivity. Maybe we just do productivity for now. Then we need some liquids to come in through here. There we go, that's all hooked up. And we can throw down some beacons to make these quicker. Yeah, I think this will work. How many of each do we need? Just 1 of each. All right, this will be nice. But there we go, there's our superconductors. So we're nearly there. Next thing we need is supercapacitors, which need those superconductors, and they also need electrolytes. Electrolytes are done with stone, heavy oil, and holmium. So that's what we can use the excess stone for. Ooh, we got plenty of holmium. Heavy oil's easy. We've got a tank for that ready to go. And this is done in another electromagnetic plant, so we can probably chuck one here. Yeah, okay, this is cool. We can probably do productivity modules in here. And then we need some beacons. That'll get us some speed. Oh, look at that. I don't know why you'd want to put quality modules in there. You can't get quality fluids. Now we need to get the electrolytes over to here. We need electronic circuits. We need holmium plates. Okay, maybe this will run up instead. Superconductors, and there was one other item. Batteries. Where are our batteries? Here they are. And then we need that to crash into here. So something like that. Alright, so that's going to form our batteries. It's going to form everything we need, actually. We just need to get the electrolytes up now. And then we can start upcycling our supercapacitors. We can start turning them into high-grade items. So we can put one of these down here. Productivity in there. Our beacon can then fit here. Oh, but that doesn't reach. Okay, beacons are going to have to go on the other side then. And that should be everything. Oh, except for, of course, we need our electrolytes. And that's that. Except we're out of power. Why are we out of power? 1.6 gigajoules. I guess we're just consuming more than we're storing. So we've got to copy this and plonk it down somewhere else. Where's a good spot for it? There we go. So that's ready to be turned into upcycling. Just stay clear of the speed modules. These need to have quality in them so that they can output items of quality. We need to filter normal quality electronic circuits, holmium plates, superconductors, batteries. There we go. These can all come back into the main loop. And then everything else that's of a higher quality comes around and needs to get turned into something else. So we might actually just chuck these into a passive provider chest. This is going to provide our uncommon and everything else, really. Why are we out of supercapacitors? We're out of circuits. Why are we out of circuits? Because we have all these excess red circuits, so they need to be put somewhere. Maybe we just have a second stockpile here for now, and then we can recycle the rest later. There we go, now they're coming out. These are slowly coming together, so when with those, we can set up more of these. So then that should start crafting higher grade supercapacitors, which should then go off to get recycled. Where's our recycler? Here we go. We chuck our quality modules in there and provide a chest for these as well. Here we go. We got some rare stuff out of that. Our first rare holmium plates. Ooh. Ooh, actually this is working. Okay. So then we need to do the same thing here for rare quality supercapacitors. Here we go. Our first rare supercapacitor. And then that comes down and that gets turned into something else. Okay, we need to filter this to make sure that we're not going to scrap any legendary supercapacitors, because that would be upsetting if we lost them all. Okay, we had too much copper coming through here, so we need to split the excess. And I'll just stick it in a chest for now. We'll do the same for plastic. Okay, we haven't made any epic items yet. That is a shame. This power is becoming a bit of a problem. 3.2 gigajoules is still not enough. I don't have any more accumulators. Do we have any back at the original base? No, they're getting pretty crap rates too. Okay, let's filter this for iron gears. And then we can turn the iron gears into iron plates. And then the iron plates will then turn into accumulators. And then everything else can probably just get scrapped. Or we could send that over back to the main belt. Yeah, maybe we do that. Yeah, okay, that all gets sent to the main belt. Damn, that's thick. Damn, that's a lot of items. Man, my inventory is not having a good time. There we go. Accumulators. That'll give us some power. Damn, look at these items. There's so many. We have one epic holmium. How long did that take us? 0.1 per minute. How do we speed this up? Do we just build more machines? Okay, we finally got an epic superconductor. Oh, wait, hold on. We got our first legendary superconductor. Heck yeah. We have our first one out of 50, but then we also need to make 50 supercapacitors. Oh boy, that's going to be a lot. But we got the first one, and that actually honestly didn't take too horribly long, so it's progress.